Hi, I'm Adam Humphreys, and I'm the CEO and founder of Making Eight Incorporated. We're an award-winning marketing agency out of Calgary, Alberta, servicing businesses just like yours every single day. Today, I'd like to talk to you about the top local SEO ranking factors going into 2025 and how that impacts you. So basically, when it comes down to it, all search is localized first, and then it branches out to international and beyond. Google always wants to show you the most relevant resources that are close to your business, and how you can rank and do better is by being relevant to your local area. You don't want to be talking about things that aren't relevant to you, and you don't want to be putting out those silly doorway pages that are hurting every business. That said, let's jump into it. So when you want to rank on Google, you got to first think about Google Business Profile. Because what we've found is about 70% of your leads are going to come from Google Business Profile, and then 30% to your website. That means that your website is still critically important and that you generally will get a lot of leads from there. But more often than not, the people that are going there are looking to find some simple additional information that they can't immediately get from Google Business Profile. So when you think about the things that you want to rank first on Google and get you higher on their rankings is basically you think about the business name. Okay, the business name is critical in local SEO. It's actually kind of silly and hilarious how bad it's been. So exact match is sort of what people search for, okay? And what that means is, for example, you look at let's say dentist Denver, right? Pretty straightforward. That's what people type into search. Believe it or not, this is highly impactful when you put that into a title of a business name. So people are switching their doing business as to dentist in Denver, or calligrapher in Ferndale, Washington or something. You know what I mean? Like it's just really straightforward and simple and crazy, but it's highly impactful, and it's one of the highest ranked variables in local SEO. So I don't recommend everybody go out and change their business name tomorrow, but keep in mind, if you are a little business and you're wanting to grow and you're looking for something that really change things up in a big way, in a quick way, that could really make a big change for you. If you haven't even started your business yet, think about the service category you're mainly going to serve. Name your business that plus the service that you're going into. Okay, so that's a really big deal. That's huge. All right. Okay, and then you want to think about your naming of your pages. Okay, so really straightforward. You have your title tag, which is what you see in the search results. And then you have your meta descriptions, and then you have your headers down below. The title tag is very important, but it needs to match the first header on your page. So that's your H1 tag. And what this means is that basically Google wants to make sure that your word on your page is aligning to what's in your title, because historically what happened was spammers were going in, putting in a misleading title, ranking for something that was completely irrelevant, and then people get to the content and they'd be like, oh, this is terrible, right? So you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that your titles align with your H1s. And another ranking variable, although not a direct ranking factor, is your meta descriptions. And what I mean by that is it's the description to compel people to go to your page, and it tells them what it's about. So that's sort of your elevator speech for your page. Really simple. And you just sort of want to think about the things that set you apart and make you stand out. The most powerful and empathetic things you could think of that are like, okay, what are their pain points? Do we have free shipping? Are we certified in ways that our competitors are not? If you are, that's going to be profound, and it's something you're going to want to immediately address. And after that, it's really just coming down to your content on your page. And what we found is that pretty much 100% of the time, your content is what's going to set you ranking on Google Business for almost everything, just using not just keywords, but content. So to put that into simple terms, your content needs to align with the intent of what people search for and the things that they're thinking about. So when I think about SEO, I think about the people and where they're looking to get results first. Usually they're looking for a specific service or a product or an item, and they have certain pain points. I'm going to address those right in the top. I'm going to put a call to action right in the top, because what we found is that 80% of people, when their concerns were immediately addressed, they converted right away, which was crazy. I put forms literally all through that they could click on. People immediately bought right in the top, and they basically filled out forms and they called right in the top, put different trackers, didn't matter. Up top, 80%, down below, 20%. So we have what's known as kind of like a topical keyword cloud, and these keyword clusters are very intentional to what people typically search for. They're very intentional to the human needs and components of what people want from their business, and more so their everyday needs. So when I think about how I'm going to get those results for the business, I'm thinking about the pain points of the end user. What do they need? Who they are? Why? Where? When? How? Very simple. I repeat this process for every single customer, and we win awards for it. We've won awards across the board in every category, simply just by being direct and honest and addressing the everyday needs of people. We're not long-winded. We're straight to the point, and that wins every time. So when you think about your Google business profile, you want to also think about your logo. That needs to stand out, okay? It needs to pop. You've got other listings there. You want to have relevant pictures of your business that makes it look like you're actually legit. If you're not legit, do a service area business. Not as powerful, but still very necessary. Definitely Google prefers the physical locations. You want to use appropriate categories. This is one of the number one ranking variables that I see missed out on Google. People tend to forget about their business and talking about all the services that they offer. They just think, well, I'm this, and I'm just gonna show up, and I don't need to write any content. I'm a big deal. Well, that's not necessarily true to someone who doesn't know you from a hole in the ground. So get your categories right, think about what you offer, and write individual service pages for each of those. Every service page really matters and is going to make you stand out in a big way. And if it's done well with the intentional keyword clusters and clouds of data that aligns with people's intentions and meets their needs immediately, again, straight to the top, it kills all the competition. I've gone into brand new businesses and ranked them over 20-year businesses in 2 weeks. Pretty simple. Okay, so do that. Bing's kind of two of the same, honestly. Rinse, repeat. So when you think about local business, you got to also think about how people qualify that, and that's reviews. That's word of mouth. That is how you respond to customers. So when you get on the phone and you call a business and no one answers, guess what? That is not good for your business. That's not good for that business, obviously. People need to answer the phone. They need to be responsive and timely and think about the end user and what they need. And people are in an instant gratification society and they want instant results. I want to know exactly what I'm getting at that time. I don't want to book an appointment or wait 3 days, ideally, unless it's a high ticket item, then I'm going to wait, and that's okay. Right? So get on the phone, make sure that you're looking at your busiest hours, and you can do so at Google Business Profile, ironically, and you can show when people are most visiting your store, and ensure that you're using form fill tracking and call tracking, and seeing when your highest peak hours are. Okay, so that's really straightforward. You don't want to ignore those customers. You're losing business. I see this in almost every area of medical and legal. They have certain peak days of the week where they're back in the office. The phones are absolutely inundated. Hire that additional secretary, or heck, just even have a call center if you have to. I know it's a drop in call quality, but they're still answering the phone. They're still servicing that, and maybe someone else calls them back immediately to make sure that they're served. If people feel like they're being taken care of, they get it, and they're good with that for the most part. Some aren't, but it's better than not answering at all. And most importantly, Google looks at that as a ranking variable. So if you're not answering your phone, you're probably going to drop in the rankings, because what happens is behaviorally, Google can see you clicking on that next Google business profile result. And what that means is that that's saying to Google, well, they're not answering their phone and they're maybe not even active, so we should probably go to the other business and give them preference since they're actually servicing customers. Pretty simple, pretty obvious, but missed by many, many, many businesses. So another thing that you need to think about that everyone seems to ignore is local reviews, and that they get negative reviews, right? So negative reviews are an opportunity to grow your business. It's an opportunity to listen, to show empathy, and hear what's going on with your business, the things that you didn't maybe know were happening. And not all of them are fair, and not all of them are real, but you need to think about what it is you can do for that customer. And a lot of times all it is just acknowledge them and listen. And if you do that, you reach out to them and you tell them that, this wasn't the best situation. We get what you're saying, and listen. Most times they'll just remove that review. Show empathy. It's just that simple. That alone has turned around too many businesses to count. A lot of owners didn't even know they're getting negative reviews. They're so busy in doing dentistry or legal work or other. And then they go in there and they show up and they find this stuff and they fix the situation. And not only that, those end customers turn around and give them a 5-star, so they boost in the rankings. It's just a wonderful thing to do, right? And then, of course, there is the fundamentals of you need reviews. And you don't just need like a couple reviews. You need like at least 1/3 to 2/3 of your competitors, right? So you're thinking, oh man, my competitor's got like 300 and I just started. Well, here's the good thing. If you've got like 10 reviews or something, that's a good foundation. There's no hard set number. I know people say there is, but honestly, get started and start building them. One is better than none. It's all optics, right? And it's about proximity too, but Google also looks at the recency factor of reviews. So if you only got reviews 3 years ago and you stopped, and a brand new business comes in and they get like 20, you're going to spike up in the search presence like quite a bit. I've found that brand new businesses, I've gone in there and I said, hey, let's do some campaigning to reach out to your customers. Let's get them ranking up. Let's get them making some positive signs of life around your business, because they just had no clue on how to set up their business online and start ranking. And that's a huge, huge, huge big deal. If you want to make money, you need to show that you're actually going to serve customers and that people actually have good things to say about you. Okay. So get 2/3 of them. And I know that's going to be tough, but it's a long-term goal. You can do that through local search ads. You can do that for asking for reviews. You can do that through CRM automation, which asks them for a review. You can pay your team to ask for reviews by incentivizing them for every review they've done. You can do inter-office competitions where one team versus the other basically ranks them up by getting more reviews. This team gets a reward because they won. Second gets this, maybe got 7. They all compete against each other. People love to compete and they love to win. And it feels good, right? It feels good to grow your base, and suddenly the uncomfortable becomes comfortable because you're not the only one doing it. Your entire team is invested now in winning and getting rewards. Another thing to think about in local SEO is, ironically, you have to be local and physically present. So historically, what we would do is we would just set up a service area business and put up a bunch of doorway pages, and those doorway pages would say, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. You'd have all these different pages, you'd list all your services, and that would rank them, okay? That doesn't work anymore. It used to work, it stopped working, and you need to stop doing that and removing those pages. So unless you can set up a physical service area business within about 16 kilometers, 10 miles, basically expect not to be found in those places. You need to set up physical offices there. Maybe get the postcard, shut it down, and then you still show up. I don't know. You're risking it there, but at least you're showing up. Google's kind of tricky there. For those areas, run ads. It's fine. It's not a big deal. But as of now, Google requires a physical location for local search ads. So you're not going to show up where you historically did. Those that benefited from before, congratulations, you made a lot of money. Those now, set up the offices in those areas and verify them and start building reviews in each area, as search in local is always closest to the person searching. So if they're in South Carolina and you're North Carolina, don't expect to rank because you built a web page that says that I'm there doing these services. You actually have to have an office there, or you're probably not going to show up unless it's a very niche business that there isn't any competition around. Then you can show up and rank all over the place. This doesn't necessarily apply to e-commerce. E-commerce can show up all over the place, but then again, Google's still going to show the closest business to them. That's a big deal, right? So you want to be, again, I'm going to reiterate, highly focused and intentional. One of the biggest mistakes I see with businesses is that they'll sit there and they'll talk about themselves. And not only will they talk about themselves, they'll talk in such technical terms that nobody understands what the heck it is that they're talking about. You don't want to use technical jargon. You want to use the layman's terms that people are looking for when they're looking for your business. So when I'm looking for, ice cream, I don't want to hear about all your personal things and completely irrelevant technical jargon that doesn't matter. I know that's a silly example, but case in point, doctors and lawyers and professionals in higher level, they do this a lot and they talk down to people. And honestly, that loses more business online than anything else. If someone else is doing it simpler, they're going to win. Simple wins. Keep it simple, keep it succinct, keep it powerful. Think about their pain points, the who, why, where, when, and how. Boom, done, making money. Okay, so when I think about all that, I want to think about related queries, information gain, and basically those pages, when you're creating them, you don't want to have them all clustered to one page. SEO used to have long form content where we try to put everything on one page and try to rank for everything in one spot. And once upon a time that would work. It was really easy. Nowadays, Google's like, okay, keep it really focused and keep it ideally on a single page and then interlink to the other pages, even from subheadings on a page. Have that master table and link down to those areas so Google can find it and directly point them down to that exact spot so they don't have to look through your site, because you've got about 2 minutes, maybe not even 30 seconds. You want to make 8 seconds through search to the website. If it's not looking a certain way, if it's not appealing to people's immediate needs for what they're looking for, they're leaving. So you got to think about the personas, that who, what their problems are, what am I trying to solve for. Put those pain points that are most critical to them right at the top with a call to action that follows them down the page, especially on mobile. Mobile websites are notorious for not having a call to action. And why that's important is that if I can't figure out how to contact you and have to go all over your website and clicking those silly little hamburger menus just to get to that, I'm going to be really, really frustrated and probably just going to go somewhere else because they're easier to deal with. And if your website's dated and old and raggedy looking and it looks like something from the 90s, you need to really step up your game. Use Wix, use anything. WordPress sites can be launched in about 3 minutes. It's not hard to do. It's very simple and it's highly profitable when done right. When people say how much is SEO, SEO can be very costly or it can be very profitable, and it boils down to the attention to detail. So when I hear about people doing ChatGPT, sorry, it forgets all those pain points and doesn't think about human emotion, and it's long-winded. You have to prompt engineer the heck out of that. To make it succinct and powerful, you really got to bring things down to earth, right? So keep it simple. Site schema, it's a structure to which ChatGPT and AI is working through. That's the future. With local SEO and AI, you need to think about structuring for the answers that Google's looking for. Again, it's those pain points, like how do I do this? How do I do that? When they're looking for local businesses to work through, they want to see certain details on your site. Google Business Profile is exactly that. AI overviews on Google is the same thing. It's that structured data that stands out. You have schema on your website. You have the bulleted form answers that people can look at and go, okay, this is straightforward. I have the answers here. Google doesn't want to make people search through your website. They're just going to post that in the results. And also, AI is going to do much of the same right into their apps itself. Straightforward, simple, and that's exactly why your website is still entirely relevant. Not only that, but Google Business Profile won't rank if you don't have those services listed on your website. You need services pages. You can have a service page by itself and list them all in one spot. I recommend having them listed and then breaking it down on individual pages. That is a much higher standpoint of ranking, and also with those keyword intentional clouds of intentional data specific to that exact user that you're trying to target is going to convert so much higher. 30% of the people that go to your website are looking for that exact thing, and you need to cater to them. If you're not catering to them, they're going to leave and go to your competition because they're easier to work with. If you're long-winded, they're gone too. So don't overtalk it. Keep it simple. And once again, this is a big thing. I remember working with a dealership and they said, well, we don't control our website. And I said, well, let me talk to them. They had a whole bunch of technical issues and they're like, oh yeah, we hate our website. It's so slow or whatever. And I went to this dealership that everyone industry-wide used, and I got them to speed it up. Okay. We're talking basic stuff, image compression and some code compression things here that once applied, it literally transformed our entire industry. But not only did it do that, our business went up 25% as a result of image compression and web speed. The web speed, people care about that. If you're in a rural area looking at boats and the website experience is brutally slow and the competition isn't, they're going to go to them. But if everyone's loading in 11 to 14 seconds and you're loading in under 2 on a mobile phone, which is 60% of where people search for, man, they're going to look at you first because you're providing the best experience. People are getting what they want right away. And that resulted in us winning a Diamond Award for all of North America. We sold the most Mastercraft boats of anywhere in North America. Site speed, intentionality, being focused, and setting things up properly. This exact list I'm giving you now, that's how we won. Responsive layouts, okay? I know this is old. I started thinking about responsiveness in 2003. So when we think of all the devices and the compression and the experiences that we have on different devices, we need to be thinking about what people click on. And the best way to look at that is to take one of your customers and just say, hey, find this, find that, give them a gift card or something like that. They'll love you for it, and you'll see exactly how they're trying to find things. And Not only that, you want to also think about what's most important and high traffic on your website and put that foremost and forefront in front of the customer. Think about the problems they're thinking about first and design your entire website and layout around that. That's exactly what we do. It converts extremely well. Okay, very simple. You want to use a call to action that pops. It can't be blending in. A lot of people are doing that, and I'm like, stop doing that, right? You want to have colors that are not ugly, but pop to the eye. I'm like, that's how I buy this. That's what I'm supposed to do. That's my call to action. I'm supposed to call you to book an appointment. This is how I work with you. And this shouldn't be surprising, but it's kind of hilarious that I continue to see this. These people could spend $12,000, $15,000 on a website, and they're like, oh man, I just can't figure out why my site's not crawling. Like, why isn't it indexing on Google? Why don't I show up in the search results? It needs to be crawlable. It has to have solid site structure. It has to have internal linking to pages, right? So good anchor text means that the descriptions on those links to specific pages, they're accurate. Really simple. Your links need to be very descriptive and identify what that page is about using the exact term and language that the customer would look for when they're looking for it. Google recognizes that. It labels the page as such and puts them right to it because Google wants to take people to the page as fast as they can the first time without them having to look intuitively based on their previous searches. And that's called search personalization. Personalization is not new. It's been around for a very long time. And it's one of the largest ranking factors when you think about anchor text internally and externally off your website. Don't use it too much offsite. You will get slammed and put in a penalty. Internally, always use those descriptions. Things like homepage, unless you're selling a home, stop calling it homepage. It should be something like your brand name or whatever your homepage is actually about. Use your brand, use the service, be very specific. Those breadcrumbs that you have that say home, use your brand. It looks so much more professional, and even Fortune 500 companies are unfortunately still doing this. Google isn't looking for home. They're looking for your brand and your entity, which is you or your business or that service, any of these variables. And it's characterizing them by association. So the more focused you are, the more powerful and authoritative you are overall. And authority wins rankings. Okay. So another big ranking factor is local links, backlinks, and citations to some extent. So local citations, local business citations are like directories and anything to that effect that ranks you in your local area. You got to think about whether or not these pages are indexed and showing up in Google. If they're not showing up on Google, you probably don't care, honestly. I know there's these citation finders that need to go in and be placed in some obscure directory. You're not going to make any money from that, and there's literally no chance of showing up in Google. You want to be in directories that your customers are actively visiting, the ones that rank and show up on top, and basically will show that you're a good business to do it. Like, I don't like to use restaurant ranking ones very much, and honestly, that's not where most of my customers are. We work mostly with services, but anything that ranks doctors or dentists, if you're in that area, or legal, any of those kind of directories that are in your area, show up in those. You don't have to go too crazy. Any opportunity for local charity links or any local businesses where your customers show up at, you want to link back with the anchor text, because I got to tell you, that is rocket fuel for your business. And SEO is forever, but links. It used to be all links. It wasn't content was king. It was links were king. And you could throw any garbage link you wanted. Nowadays, you do that. Google can see it all. And chances are the SEO tools that show backlinks are going to show the ones that are already burnt and spent and not working very well. The common ones that everyone is using, at least cover your bases with those. Make sure that, again, they're indexed and ranking on Google. You want to be in those. You want to show up. You want to fill them out fully and completely and put proper descriptions down below. I think that's probably as important, if not more important, because I have seen people ranking in the legal space, attorneys for mesothelioma, it's a crazy word, used to be the most expensive term on Google to using Google Ads. So very valuable, and like we were getting free leads for that simply from local citations. And this is just in the recent last few years here. It works really, really well. You want to pay attention and spend money on that. And not all, again, local citations and backlinks are not all equal. If it's not ranking, don't waste your time with it. Very simple. Your hours of operation is a hilarious ranking factor. When you're closed, go figure, Google's going to prioritize your competition first. Here's the problem. If you're a restaurant and you're actually closed and people start showing up to your restaurant after hours, that's probably not going to be a good plan. You're going to get punished for that. Or people are just going to change it for you and Google's going to switch it and say, well, you're not accurate. This doesn't match. So your hours on your website need to match what's on Google Business Profile and Facebook and Bing Places. Any of these local directory and business listings, they all need to match up. And the thing is if you're a lawyer or any business that you can list 24/7 that's basically by appointment only, it no longer matters the hours of the day that you actually serve, because hopefully you have an automatic response to customers, right? So that means that when they text you or they call you, it gets an automatic response, or you have a call center that books them in or something to that effect. Really simple, a couple $100 or even, $30 or $40. You have a system that responds to that customer and asks them for their information to book them into an appointment. And more so, I recommend the appointment booking. Appointment booking links are, for some businesses, are not relevant, and they can't use them simply because they need to qualify whether the customer is in fact going to be someone that's relevant to their areas of practice and dentistry and legal space. Some people think that that area applies to them when in fact it's someone else. So if there is any chance, always use appointment booking, always use a call center, always use a response to book a person in, because when you think about it, you're open, 5 days a week, 40 hours. And what about the rest of the entire week? You're missing out on those leads for the entire time you're not booking them in. Those old school form fills where they're just saying like, how can we help you? Forget that. I honestly, book them into an appointment. You should have a calendar. There should be times. Fill your calendar up. Get them in, booked. You can always change the time that they come in and change something to longer or reschedule. At least you've captured that customer, and your competition hasn't got them. It's really straightforward, but nobody's doing this. And the funny thing is just by showing up as 24/7 open and having an appointment link, I get all those free leads. I don't have to spend anything on ads, and I'm making my customers millions of dollars a year just by doing this. Really simple. Go do it, right? And there's a whole lot of other things, but at the end of the day, copywriting is something that's massive. Again, it comes down to the persuasion factor. Don't be using AI to write your content. You can absolutely use it for structure, for conceptualizing ideas and whatnot. But after that, you want to have something that's human edited, because at the end of the day, when I'm reading something, if it's robotic or Wikipedia style or super boring, guess what? I'm gone. And that is all I have to say about that. I'm Adam Humphreys, an SEO at Making 8, an award-winning agency in Calgary, Alberta. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day. Bye.